So if little Maddy had made a decision right out of high school, what would she have studied? And then how did that differ for this new version that came out of your gap year?
Yeah. Ooh, that's so interesting. I'm like going back in time. I think little Maddie, she always liked the idea of travel. And so I had always planned on going to college, and studying like hospitality management, like hotel management, that kind of sector. However, whenever I went on my gap year, I knew that I really liked travel and I saw travel in this completely different way. I saw the powerful benefit of like immersive education and learning from locals, like learning from the land itself, learning from indigenous communities about the positives of like nature and like how they use agriculture and like all these different things. Um, and so I I then went to study travel, but in a different lens, more through a sustainable or responsible travel lens. And like conservation kind of angle. And so I had this really impactful experience on my gap year where I went to this local community in Ecuador, called Junin, and they have historically been a mining community. However, a couple decades back, this mining company, they wanted to keep mining and mining, but the locals started being like, I don't know if we want that. Like, this is the main economy for our community, but there's a lot of health benefit like risks to us. A lot of people were developing different cancers and actually people were dying a lot earlier than they should have been. And a lot of people were getting displaced from their community. So when we were there, we were talking to one of the local activists against mining. And he took us on a hike and we saw the acid mine drainage from the mines there and saw like what it was actually doing to the streams and the soil, and the community was no longer able to plant fruits and vegetables and be able to eat off of their own lands and drink their own water. And so hearing how that the environment and the impacted direct people and how we were so far away from this issue and I had never learned about it growing up in Pennsylvania, even though it is happening in Pennsylvania, stepping into a different community and learning about it there and seeing the impacts of it was so transformational for me. And um, this activist, he prompted a question that really stuck with me all these years. He said, how can you use your passion to, raise awareness or tackle this issue? And so it got me thinking, how can I use tourism and my love for travel to really counteract this problem? And so that's kind of how it got me into the field today of I wanted to study sustainable travel because I think there is a huge impact for people going and seeing these issues and being like, oh my God, like I had no clue that was happening, and being able to bring back that knowledge and that now awareness, and being able to think about the bigger picture and not just like, we are using those parts to bring back and make iPhones and TVs and cars and all these things that we don't have a lot of awareness about. And so I think seeing it and seeing what it's doing to communities made me have a bigger scope and more empathy for the decisions that I make in my day-to-day life, but also seeing that tourism can be this change for good. And bringing people there and seeing it can really bring back all of this new lens perspective. So yeah.
That's awesome. And I want to kind of underscore two things that you were highlighting there. First of all, I got goosebumps when you said like how can you use your passions to bring about change? Because I think that that is something that experiential education is so good at doing, not only helping you find your passions, but also to think outside of the box. Because so often when we're high school students, we're exposed to like 6 or 7 different career paths, and you kind of have to slot yourself into one of those. But when you get out and you see the world and you start thinking more broadly and you're exposed to more ideas, all of a sudden these different areas of study emerge, these different career paths emerge, these different passions that maybe we just needed to ignite a little bit, can really take off. And I know some parents are like, my kid doesn't like anything, they just want to play video games, and sometimes it's just a lack of exposure to things, and being able to get out there and try something new, or be part of a big experience like that, can be so powerful.